I'm literally sitting here in this place now overnight, and I'm thinking, how in the world did I get here? And really, the prayer and the realization I had that night in that moment was, if I'm in charge of my life, this is how good of a job I do. If I lead myself, this is where I end up. And so I said, God, I don't care what the rest of my life looks like. I don't care if my marriage lasts, if my family stays together, if I ever work at a church and ministry again. I don't care. I just want to be in your will and do what you called me to do. In college, I went through a really big J. Crew phase. I had 7 jeans, I had, all that, but then like every other thing I wore, socks, always had like a pattern, match the shirt, like
Okay, so
J. Crew.
here's the question though I have for you. Because you and I both went through like the whole fear of God.
100%,
like the
long
street,
tees.
the curved hems and like the zipper boots and all that kind of stuff. When did you feel like, okay, I'm over this?
Probably when I moved away from Tulsa.
Yeah.
It was a very who you're around determines a lot, and what you are doing. Like youth ministry, that was massive at the time. And it was like,
why do ministry people though? Why do ministry people sometimes, I was in an airport the other day.
Ministry people are late.
They're late, and
the church is super late to fashion.
It's late, and it's always just like a little bit
too far.
Yeah. It's like, and never assembled well.
We saw somebody recently wearing the longest tee with
still
really cuffed jeans and sneakers. And I was like, wow.
Still.
Yes.
In the church?
Yes. It was a church for sure.
Yeah, and it's always like YPs, no offense. But that was the thing. But the worst is there's a guy on Instagram you sent me that has this mohawk.
Oh, dude.
And they wear the big tall Jordans.
Yes.
But they're short and overweight.
And skinny jeans.
And so it's skinny jeans, big tall Jordans, big oversized tee, and it literally makes them 5'2".
It crunches them, yeah.
5 foot, and I'm like, oh, dude. I'm not saying I have the greatest style. I've made mistakes plenty of times. But I'm now with you of going, I want timeless pieces.
100%.
What's the next statement or article piece you want to add to your wardrobe?
That's a really good question. Last year, I got a great leather jacket.
Like a moto?
Yeah, but just black, high quality leather. It's gonna last a really long time, and I can wear it every year. Probably a nice denim jacket.
Nice denim jacket?
Yeah, I have a Zara denim jacket or whatever, but it's I want something that's gonna wear really well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I want a brown suede jacket. Like a
workman's style jacket?
Yes.
Yeah,
but I want it suede because I want it to age.
Yep.
I want the patina. I want because when it's new, it's all fresh and all that kind of stuff. But it's like an investment piece. It's
100%.
You're gonna spend some.
You're spending some money.
Because you want it real suede.
Correct.
You want it really well made, and you want it. Alex bought. What was that? I got you that jacket for Christmas. Like the waxed cotton.
I like how you did that. Alex bought, and then I bought you that.
Well, no, he bought one, and he did buy it, and I was like, yo, I'm take it back because I'm getting you that.
Okay.
What is the same jacket? Or one was lined and one wasn't.
It wasn't lined. It was just a
Yes.
shirt jacket.
Have you been to that store in Austin?
Stag? I think you took me in.
Yeah.
Domain?
Yeah. They used to have one in the Domain. Now it's down in Congress.
I don't come to Austin that often, but
Yeah.
I think I've been to it.
Yeah.
Just keep swapping out.
So, Isaac, I don't know if you know, audience, this is one of my best friends in the world. His name is Alan Orcutt. Alan and I met in youth ministry. Was when we first met. You were in middle school. I was a youth leader.
Yeah.
Then he connected with my brother. Was really good friends with my brother. And then Alan when I moved back to Texas, Alan started working for Keith and I's company.
Oh.
And then Alan...
That was my J. Crew phase. That's how I had the money to pay for my J. Crew phase.
You made so much money.
I made stupid money for a college kid sitting in his dorm room.
Yeah. And then Alan worked as on staff with me in Tulsa, and then we've just been friends ever since. All right, let's get into serious talk. It's going to be a hard segue. So I wanted to ask you this, right? So tell me, you've been sober now how many years?
It'll be 7 in January.
7 years in January.
It's incredible.
Which is like amazing. And the thing that helped you was you went through a course called Celebrate Recovery, which was at a church. You tried the rehab, that didn't work. You tried like the white knuckle, that didn't work.
Right.
What was it? Because growing up, you weren't a heavy drinker, right? And then you started drinking. Did it start to get out of control immediately, or?
No.
Okay. Walk me through how you got there.
I did not start drinking until college. First time I ever had a drink. Grew up in a very Christian, but almost legalistic Christian home of you drink, you have sex before marriage, or you get tattoos, you're going straight to hell. And it's like, well, crap. So didn't drink, wasn't a bad kid, was a really good kid, obedient, loved the church, felt called to ministry, so that's all I did. I didn't do sports or anything after my freshman year. I was church rat, served at the youth group, did everything I could there. Go to college, start waiting tables. I'm pretty good at waiting tables, so they promote me to a bartender. I was 18 years old. So I couldn't drink, but I could serve alcohol. And then one time behind the bar, guy hands me a kid's cup and is like, hey, go drink this real quick. Grabbed it, drank it. It was like a shot of something. I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
Tastes good, makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And that kind of started alcohol for me in my life. But it was really casual and really rare. It was like maybe I'd have a drink after a shift or something, or while I was bartending, but didn't drink regularly. I was going to Bible college at the time. But it was introduced to my life then. Fast forward, Hunter and I are dating. We're engaged, we're married. We would drink together at dinner, but never where we would see anyone we know. Because again, I'm going to church, I'm working at a church, whatever. It was like very secret thing, but it didn't cause any problems. It didn't hurt anybody else. It tasted good and felt good.
Yeah.
Over the course of 7, 8 years, it started progressing, and it became something that I leaned on when life got difficult.
Yeah.
I didn't have healthy coping mechanisms in my life. I'm a very, my mind is always going.
Yeah.
The end of every potential outcome. My mind's just always racing, thinking through everything. Couldn't shut it off. I didn't know how to, but alcohol could. And so that was how I would wind down. That was how I would shut the world out. That's how I would fall asleep. And then when you get that deep into it, you wake up and you need a little bit to have an alert mind, get going, and kind of start your day. And so gets really bad, but Hunter doesn't know because we're drinking together, and she's still drinking, but not at the level that I am. And then we get pregnant, and weren't planning on getting pregnant. And she stops drinking, and then she really starts to see maybe he's drinking more than I realized, or maybe this is a problem that I haven't noticed before. But
what was your pattern?
Now.
Okay, so typically you'd have a drink, come home at night. Would it be she would go to bed early?
100%. Pregnancy for her was not the best pregnancy. I don't know any other pregnancies. I've only been through ours. But she was exhausted. She would get home from work and she's like, I'm ready to go to bed. 6 o'clock, she's out.
Yeah.
And so at this stage of my life, I'm still massively into video games.
Yeah.
And so normally I would get home before her, so I'd have a drink or two before she got home, so she didn't know I'd already had something to drink.
Yeah.
Then I have a drink with dinner or whatever. After dinner, she goes to bed. I'm up playing video games for 4 hours and just drinking until I'm fall asleep.
Yeah. It's funny how, like, when you start going down that road, you start premeditating.
It was all planned out.
You know, like you're already forecasting, and it's like almost you wake up thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can do it here, I can do it here, and it's like you're already.
Oh, you want to know how bad it got?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Be transparent. So as it got worse and as like she started to notice and kind of be like, hey, maybe this is a problem. We're not going to drink on these days because we have service on Sunday and whatever on this day. And
Yeah.
like, so it's like trying to set up boundaries because it's like, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it is. Let's just see.
And were you all about them? Were you like, yeah, let's do it? Or
Yeah,
were you
100%.
like,
Because I'm like, if this means I get to keep drinking, then yeah, I'll put these boundaries up that appease you, but
Yeah.
allow me to continue to do the thing I feel like I
Right.
need in my life.
yeah,
She would mark bottles to know like how much has he drank, you know, did he drink the day he wasn't supposed to or not? And like, so then I'm drinking and I'm like, I'm gonna drink more on when I'm not supposed to, but I'm gonna fill it up with water or with something else to where it still gets to the line.
Yeah.
You know, but then
it's weaker.
it's weaker. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna run out in 2 days. How am I gonna get more? I'm valeting at the time, so
Yeah.
I'll have a little bit of cash. I'll say I made $80 when really I made $100, and that'll get me enough to buy one, to hide it, to refill it, to draw the line again.
Wow.
To keep this image going that
Yeah.
I'm following the rules.
Yeah.
I'm doing what we agreed upon.
Yeah,
But
but I'm not.
and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder to continue drinking.
So obviously that's not sustainable. You hit rock bottom, and I think anybody who's struggling with addiction probably is already feeling that. You know, I meet people in the church all the time that if it's not alcohol, it's Adderall. If it's not Adderall, it's weed. If it's not weed, you know, it's some type of pill, right? Pain pills, all that kind of stuff. Is the narrative in your mind really like, I can stop whenever I want? What's the narrative? Like, bring me to your mind of when you know, okay, this is now out of control. I can't hide it anymore. And it's starting to, like the edges are starting to fray.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going, stop, just stop, just stop? Or are you, like, bring me into the negotiation in your mind that you're,
Yeah.
you know?
I think there's phases to it.
Yeah.
Because the first phase is, I don't have a problem. I can stop whenever I want. I can not have a drink or have the vice that I need whenever I want.
Yeah.
Then it goes to, okay, maybe there's a little bit of a problem, but I don't want anyone to know. So how do I figure out how to do this by myself without letting anybody else in?
Right.
Whether people know or not, I don't want them to know really, like how bad it is, how jacked up I am. And so let me figure out what I can do, maybe only let certain people in.
And only a little bit.
And only a little bit, not all of it. And see if
Yeah.
that works for a little while until, ultimately, I mean, rock bottom's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But ultimately, unfortunately, in most cases, it comes to that rock bottom moment of like, I'm either going to continue to ruin my life forever or...
Yeah. Okay, so but walk me through like, okay, so phase 1 is I don't have a problem. Phase 2 is I do have a problem, but I'm going to quietly see if I can handle it. And then when you're not handling it, because I always can tell pretty quickly, like if a guy's like, he cracks the door, but doesn't,
Right.
I'm like, oh, there's way more to that.
Right.
Like,
You're giving me enough to appease me, but you're not telling me everything.
and what you're doing is you're just assuaging your guilt.
Correct.
Right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're just,
Like a pressure valve almost.
right. It's like, hey, I talked about it.
Right.
You didn't talk
Right.
about it, homie.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So after that phase, things spin out for you. And I don't want to have to go into all the details of that, but basically, Hunter was like, your wife was like, all right, you got to get it figured out.
So I'll hit the timeline real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know either. We moved back. We were living with her parents. Her dad's a traveling evangelist.
Yeah.
No drinking, no all the things.
So this was happening while you lived with them too.
Yes. So I'm waiting tables at this point, which is again bad because I have access to cash. I'm buying alcohol, trying to hide it. You can only hide it to so much extent, before it's like obvious, like you've been drinking.
Yeah.
I wake up one day, I'm passed out in her parents' media room. She had been suspecting and asking me, and I'd been lying about it. Wake up, basically she says, hey, I'm kicking you out. Your stuff is packed. Your parents know. This is the first time they've heard that I've ever had a drink. Wow. I'm 26 at the time. Your parents know, they're on the way to pick you up. You got to figure this out. Get out of here. Our daughter was a couple months old at the time too. So thought that was rock bottom. Kicks me out. I go back and live with my parents. Still waiting tables. Now I'm angry, frustrated. So drinking gets worse.
Did you have to be kicked out? Like,
what do you mean? To
like,
be sober?
It?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm saying, like, like for the wife right now, or for the husband right now.
Yes.
Who is like trying to manage their husband or wife's addiction.
Yes.
Is it really like, because I'm sure that caused you to spiral even more.
Yes.
For a temporary, because then it was like the handbrake's off.
It's like, oh, this is how life's gonna be? This is what you're gonna do?
And then you just like head first every night. I got nobody telling me what to do.
Correct.
I'm pissed. I'll prove, like,
correct.
You're gonna kick me out. But you feel like that's like necessary? Like,
yes. I think, and Hunter would be so much better at explaining this. It was not a popular decision for her to do that. But she's protecting herself. She was protecting our daughter.
Yeah.
And if I never got sober and it only did get worse for me, I still think she should make that decision.
Right.
Because the pain and harm that I would cause them, she's got to protect herself and Mitchell from me at that point.
Yeah.
So it gets worse. I get in a car accident driving, DWI. A couple months after that, being kicked out. She's basically like rehab or divorce. And I'm like, I'd been so against rehab. Like, no, I don't need the help. I can do it on my own as I'm just getting worse and worse. And go to rehab. So 30 days sober. First time I'd been sober that long in a long time. Make it 2 weeks out of rehab. We kind of start hanging out again. Like I go back to, I literally checked into rehab on my 27th birthday, Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
Checked into rehab, spent 30 days there, come back just in time to go spend Christmas with her family. We go do Christmas, I'm sober the whole time, get back. A couple days after getting back, relapse, try to hide it. She can tell immediately. Now it's like, in my mind, oh, we're really done. Like, I went to rehab, I did all the stuff, still couldn't stay sober. Like, my life's over, my marriage is over, whatever. I'm working at a bank at this point. I had to run something to the post office on my way. For the bank? Yeah, no, for the DWI. Yeah. I had defensive driving for the DWI. So I had to mail that off. It was like the last day. I'm rushing there before I go into work. There's a liquor store on the way. I stop by the liquor store. I'm like, I'll just get something for the weekend so I have it all week. I don't have to like try and figure out how to get my alcohol this weekend. I'm like, you know what? I can have some on the way to work, drinking a bottle of the cheapest whiskey I could buy in the car on the way to work. I vomit all over myself. So now I'm like, I got to get home and change. I'm in a suit, at a bank. So I rush home, throw the alcohol in my closet, change clothes really quick, go to work. My boss immediately calls me off the floor and is like, hey, you're intoxicated. Yeah. Like everybody can tell. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Eventually break down weeping. She doesn't call the police. She calls the Celebrate Recovery pastor at the church across the street. Yeah. And that was my first interaction and connection with him, which, losing my job, all of that, still not rock bottom. Yeah. I go home. My sister comes, picks me up, takes me home to my parents. I'm there drinking more, literally thinking, now I'm not even getting a paycheck. Yeah. I can't even pay for diapers and the things I'm, doing for my family and my daughter. I text them saying this and believing it. Life would be better for you and Mitchell if I wasn't here. She freaks out, calls my parents, calls my sister, calls everybody, like, what's happening? Where's Alan? I'm literally just laying in bed. But I go to voluntarily, which either way they would have taken me because of the things I said. Right. I check into like a detox center that night in Dallas, and it's like crazy for me.
It's like
people on IVs, people
it's like
banging
loony.
their heads on the wall, like people can't put sentences together. Like I'm literally sitting here in this place now overnight, and I'm thinking, how in the world did I get here? And really, the prayer and the realization I had that night in that moment was, if I'm in charge of my life, this is how good of a job I do. If I lead myself, this is where I end up. And so I said, God, I don't care what the rest of my life looks like. I don't care if my marriage lasts, if my family stays together, if I ever work at a church and ministry again. I don't care. I just want to be in your will and do what you called me to do.
Yeah.
Come out of that. That was the last day I ever had to drink.
It's like, how do people do it without faith? I know they do.
Right.
I know people do overcome it. And it's a hard road for everybody. But I just think how extra hard without the grace and, and the mercy of the Lord to be able to, and maybe you would have a different experience in that. I mean, did you feel like God was with you, or did you feel, because I had this conversation with Isaac
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, when do you think people get to the place of like, okay, I need God? And I go, I think God literally allows people to exhaust themselves.
Yes, that's what he did with me.
Just, okay, go. And it's almost like a child. Like sometimes my kid will like throw a fit. And usually I'm pretty quick about like, we don't do that.
Right.
But occasionally I just go, and I go put them in their room, and I shut the door, and I go at it. And they scream and cry and all the throw the fit and all that kind of stuff. And then once they're totally exhausted, they come out and they're like, and then they're ready to talk.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sometimes? Because I think it's out of Romans chapter 1, where God says, I let them go to their own
Debased minds.
Yeah. At that turning point for you, in that moment, did you feel God? Or was it more about the recognition?
Yeah, no, I felt God.
You felt God
Yeah.
in that insane asylum type?
Yeah, but I would say to that, that's exactly what God did with me.
Yeah.
And I lived believing I'm capable, I'm intelligent,
Yeah.
I can do anything I put my mind to, and I'm going to do it better than anybody else,
Yeah.
and I'm going to show you that I
Yeah.
can and who I am.
Yeah.
And I think when I couldn't actually do that, I didn't know how to face that.
Yeah.
I didn't want people to see that I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that led to the drinking and hiding and covering it all up and all that. But I think God said, okay, you can do it, do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I tried to figure it out, tried to hide it, tried to do everything I could. And ultimately got to the place of like,
Yeah.
this is just how good I am.
Yeah. What do you feel like in the sobriety space? What do you feel like is not talked about? Like, what's the? Like,
What do you mean?
Like,
You saying where he currently is, or leading up to that? Like,
yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of conversation in the sobriety space. I mean, it's kind of become popular now, just with health and fitness being more popular. Like, alcohol has become this like. People don't drink just for health reasons, and
Right.
because they're seeing, and now they're trading different substances, right? But in the sobriety space, what's not talked about enough? You feel like, as someone who has walked through that you go, hey, I wish I could like grab dudes or gals and go, and maybe it's like nothing you can say will. Like, is there anything you said unlock it, or do they really have to go, you got to hit a wall?
I think it's whatever you're struggling with, it's okay. Like if someone had just told me, if I felt like I could tell somebody what I was struggling with,
Yeah.
and they would respond with, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like that may have changed
Yeah.
how long it took me to have that conversation,
Right.
how long it took me to be open. In the world of sobriety, that is the response. When you come to Celebrate Recovery, when you come to AA, when you come to any type of group or meeting like that, it's like, oh, really? Me too. All of us here are. It's okay. But then also, it's okay, but it's not okay to stay there.
Right.
And here's real tools and real people that have done it, and we're just going to do it together. And it may take you longer than it took me,
Yeah.
but we're going to do it.
Well, see, that's what it kind of reminds me of the message I just preached on, of just going like, everybody encounters temptation. And everybody has temptation that is unique to them. Like, for example, the uniqueness of your temptation was escape. right? And I numb out, I turn my mind off. I don't know how to cope with not like all these new challenges, and I don't feel like I'm equipped to handle them. So I'll just numb out. And that was your particular temptation, and you were doing it by yourself. And like what I said on Sunday of going, maybe the quickest way out of temptation or struggle is to let somebody in. So tell me about your first, okay, so you hit rock bottom, you go, God, I've been in control of my life and this is where it's led me. So I can't be in control anymore. You felt like God met you there in the insane asylum, or the whatever.
No, that's a appropriate term.
Padded walls and straight jackets, and you're like,
I'm literally sitting here, church kid, sheltered, like
Junior Bible
youth
quiz.
pastor. Yeah, memorized books of the Bible. I'm like, where am I?
he knew the whole book of John. He could quote the whole book of John.
No way.
Yeah, word for word. It was pretty amazing.
That's
He's like a Bible savant.
You should have gone on those old Bible competition shows. That's crazy.
That's what they would do at church. They would have competitions. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, we're
Sorry.
digressing. Tell me. Okay. Because I want guys or gals to listen to this and go, you're at your house or apartment, wherever you're at, and you have your first night of CR. What's going on in your mind? Which is celebrate recovery.
I'm terrified.
Why? Why are you scared?
Because I know the expectation is that I share what I'm failing at.
And why does that scare you?
Because what will you think of me? How will you see me?
But these are guys you don't even know.
Doesn't matter.
I know. I know.
I'm saying to me, like, doesn't matter.
It's anybody. I don't want anybody to know.
I want to look the part, act the part, be the part all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Celebrate Recovery, I think this is this happening in church, like the large scale church, there's not a space for it. But there has to be a smaller space for this to happen.
Yeah.
You walk in, the first person in the room, first person on stage, first person whatever, says, hey, my name is Alan, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with alcoholism. Imagine walking into church and somebody on stage, the first thing they said is, my name is so-and-so, I lead the groups here, and I have porn addiction. Or I'm recovering from struggling with looking at porn.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of when Paul says, I'm Paul, I'm a chief of sinners.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
Right.
yeah.
So I enter that, and everybody talks that way. Anybody that ever has any kind of speaking, whatever, shares, I struggle with an eating disorder. I struggle with
porn,
domestic violence, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm recovering from this.
And this is all life-controlling behaviors.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any hurt, habit, or hang-up.
Habit, or hang-up.
Yeah, so like in Celebrate Recovery, like 30% or less of the people actually deal with a substance abuse problem.
Really?
Majority deal with something else in their life, codependency, anger, food, whatever. So, yeah, it's just an incredible space to say, like, we're all broken.
Yeah.
We're all here for the same reason, and it's just to get better. And we do it one day at a time together.
So you went on this journey through CR, you stuck through it, and this, it doesn't have it's as long as it takes you, right? It's not like a...
Correct. But I'll say this too, because going back to like, should she have kicked me out? Is that a boundary that she should have set? Whatever.
Yeah.
I went to Celebrate Recovery, but that was like the most basic part of my recovery and sobriety.
Yeah.
I was not allowed to drive for 90 days. Not legally, but my family, Hunter, everybody said this is a parameter we're setting up.
Yeah.
You're not driving a car for 90 days.
Wow.
So I couldn't leave, go somewhere. You don't have access to cash. You don't have access to a card. If you need to buy groceries, if you want to go out to eat, I'll take you and I'll use your card.
Yeah.
And you'll still manage your bank account, pay your bills, do the things with the money that you make.
But you're not going to
You physically cannot spend money. I saw a counselor and addiction specialist for like 6 months every week. And then I went to Celebrate Recovery.
So for you, it wasn't just a silver bullet, CR. It was like,
No.
I can't have cash because I know I'm too weak right now and I'll make a poor choice. I can't drive because...
And it wasn't even decisions I made.
So you
I wouldn't have
gave
made
up
those
control?
decisions. I just said, if this is what it's going to take, Celebrate Recovery pastor is the one who said, hey, in my experience and the things where I've seen this work and people actually become sober and recover, these are some of the things. And my parents and family were like, we'll do all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you were like, shut up, stop talking.
Like, great, give us the whole list, we'll do them all.
Dude.
And so there's when it comes to recovery, and probably any area that we want to be better in life, there's the like, okay, I need the grace of God, and He's
Yeah.
got to show up, and He's got to do a work in me.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of like, you just got to do the hard stuff.
Which is kind of something that I always am trying to evaluate, especially as a pastor. There is the sovereignty of God, and then there's the human responsibility. And oftentimes we think that those are very clear. God's sovereign, God healed me,
Yeah.
God set me free, God did the miracle, and then, oh yeah, but I think it's one of those things where it's actually so intertwined
Yes.
that I don't know where God's sovereignty ends and my human responsibility begins, but I do know that they're different.
Yeah.
And I do know that it's not all human responsibility because God is sovereign.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's also not all God's sovereignty because I have to do it.
Right.
And I have to do the simple things.
I'm not a robot. I'm not programmed to just do whatever I'm told.
Exactly. And sometimes we in our minds think that it's very clear demarcations. God is sovereign and He'll do the miracle, and then on down the road, here's what I'm responsible for. But it's so blended that it's almost like if I just will handle my human responsibility, all of a sudden I see the miracle happening and I don't really know where it started.
Right. I don't know when it clicked for me.
Yeah.
I just know every day,
You remember the first day you were sober.
100%.
And that's why you can go 7 years. And so I know when I took human responsibility and I started there
Right.
and I just kept walking, I don't know where all of a sudden I was like, okay.
Right.
Because it was man, that's cool.
What would you say to someone who's listening to this?
Dude, I gotta pee so
You're
bad.
good. You're good. I have
Like,
a question.
Yeah, no, you talk. I'm
You
gonna
go.
pause my mic so y'all don't hear me pee.
This guy. Apologies.
It's like super cash. Is that cool?
Yeah, bro.
So if someone is listening to this, maybe they got this guy. Do you need a break too?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Responsibility and God's sovereignty.
Yeah, he has to go pee. That's his responsibility. Someone's watching this, they stumbled upon it, someone sends it to them, and they have family members, friends who have been really trying to break through to them and say, hey, I think that this is a problem, right? And they have justified it. They tell, get off my case, leave me alone. It's not that serious. But they know when no one's around, they have that inner turmoil. What would you say to that person right now that's watching this? And this is from being on the other side. You're talking about like it's okay.
Yeah.
To help them understand. And maybe you already answered this with saying you have to hit rock bottom. Is there anything that you would say to that person that's like writing it off, that's saying, no, it's fine, I got it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, what I would have needed to hear other than like, it's okay, is you don't have it all together, but you don't have to. Nobody expects you to. We love you. I love you just how you are. And whatever you're trying to compensate for or cover up or cope with, if you let me in, I want to do that with you. And I remember carrying so much pressure of, I have to be the best. I have to, like, other people are depending on me to do whatever the thing is, my job, my wife, my family. And if I don't, everything will fall apart. And maybe the best realization ever is like, I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And I don't have to.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
The
there's
part that you guys talked while I was peeing is the thing that's going to go viral.
No.
Probably.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a follow-up
yeah,
question?
yeah.
And this is not to be cheesy at all, but I'm asking like this. You were in ministry while this is happening. Like you were imagining seeing life change. You're seeing massively fulfilling things. You're having, I'd imagine, like amazing moments of just witnessing God move. But still secretly, you secretly suffering or silently suffering, right?
Silently suffering.
You're silently suffering. Being on this side, and you're still seeing God move because you're plugged in the local church, you guys are still leading, but you have truly given this to God, do you feel like you are experiencing like a fullness with God that you, because that's the thing I think some people struggle with. It's like, well, I'm still going to church, I'm still serving, I'm still giving, but they're silently suffering. Do you feel like being on this side, there is a fullness to God that you weren't experiencing in that time?
Absolutely. But I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
We talked about this like last time we talked maybe, but one of the things I deal with and I'm learning right now is I struggle with pride. But I think pride is twofold, and I'm just learning the second side of pride. The first is thinking highly of yourself. And that was pre-sobriety. I thought so highly of myself and wanted other people to as well. That is pride. But the other side of it is thinking of myself a lot, not just thinking highly of myself. And so that's the side of pride that I'm struggling with and dealing with now is like, if somebody comes for my time or even good things, working out, taking care of the finances,
Alan posts
doing whatever.
pictures of his shirt up all the freaking time because he started working out. He's all like buff and stuff.
I'm not buff.
But you're right though. But but our humanness, to your point, is an onion, bro.
Right.
And it's like every peel back, it's like, okay, this was the front-facing pride.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now this is the internal pride. And it's this constant, and that's what sanctification is.
And so there's a fullness in what I was doing. God's going to do what he's going to do, whether I'm being jacked up or not. Like, there's going to be fruit. We're going to see amazing things in the church, in the youth group, whatever. And that is fulfilling, but it's also not as fulfilling as you peel back that layer. And now, you know, I'm more surrendered to God. I'm seeing more personal fulfillment, not just corporate fulfillment. And so, yeah, even just from the selfish perspective, the pride perspective, two for me, where right now is like, nothing is mine. And that was like, again, pre-sobriety, everything is mine. My money, my time, my job, my wife, my family.
Because that's the other side. You've become like, you and Hunter have become like crazy generous.
Try to, yeah.
You know, like.
So that was, yeah. So that was a trigger in sobriety for me too, which the church's response majority of the time to sobriety, addiction, any problem or issue is like, just give it to God. Like, dude, just give it to God. Stop doing it. He'll take it away. And it's like, okay, but how? Like, I don't know how to give drinking or alcoholism to God.
I bring my bottles to the altar?
Drop it off or like.
You can't. You put it on the altar. Yeah. Just put it there.
Pour it on the altar.
Pour it on the altar.
With the
Light
wine
a flame.
You've given it to God.
Yeah, so like that was real, like in the process of me knowing there's a problem, not really wanting to get out, but wanting to be better, wanting to be on the other side of addiction. How do I give it to God? I'm like, I don't know. I was reading a book at the time, and I felt like God was speaking to me. I was learning a lot about giving, tithe, the difference in tithe and offering. And I felt like God said, you know, you don't know how to give me alcohol, but you can give me more of your money. You can give me more of your finances. At this point, I was working a minimum wage job, just barely had a job. I had more expenses in my life. I had all the attorney fees, court costs, probation, I had a breathalyzer in my car. I was paying back rehab, most debt, most expenses I ever had in my life, making the least amount of money I ever had. Still not living with my wife at the time. We were separated. And I've always tithed because that's just what the Bible says to do. Yeah. But I didn't understand it. And at this point, I felt like, okay, God, I don't know how to give you alcohol, but I know how to give you 5% more of my income. And so I'm going to start giving 5% more. And that started a like domino effect in our lives of seeing God. Shortly after that, I'm going to court for like the final hearing or whatever. And my sponsor calls me that day. I'm going into court. I'm working this at a metal decking shop, making minimum wage. He calls me and says, hey, my company's opening up an office here in Dallas. I know you got your appointment today. He's like, but I just want you to know, like, I want to bring you in for an interview. Could be a good fit. We'll see how it goes. I've never done this job. I've never worked in this industry, whatever. That, boom, I get the job, triggers us into being able to afford a place. We move back in together. We start giving 5% more. Hunter is starting a business at the time. It's like a year old. Business starts taking off, and we just see God like bringing clients and all kinds of stuff. And every time since then, I mean, that was 6 years ago. Every time since then, we felt like God say, "Hey, give a little bit more." We've increased that, and it's just like the things
incredible.
that God does, and like the specific dates or the specific clients or the specific like stories that you could say it's only because of God.
Yeah.
Is just unreal.
But again, the sovereignty and
Human
responsibility.
yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know when God became sovereign, but I do know when I became responsible.
Right.
And in my responsibility, God did something sovereign. And I think that's the thing that everybody sees the church just wanting money and God just wants my money. And it's like, no, your heart loves the money because you think money provides the life.
Correct.
Whether it's the boat, whether it's the alcohol, whether it's the house, whether it's whatever it is. Our hearts are devoted to money because we think money provides life. And when we start giving to the Lord, not everybody's called to go over and above, right? I think you can if you listen to the Holy Spirit. But when you start to do that, what you're actually doing is giving him your heart. And you're giving him your life. And you're trusting him with, if we're honest, the most valuable thing in our life is our money. That's what
Right.
we care about, right?
It's security.
It's what we think provides.
And that's where the biggest thing God's walking me through, and hope probably forever on some level, is nothing I have is mine. From my relationship to my wife, to our business, to my income, to whatever. Every single thing is his. And if I operate that way and he can use it, that's the most secure that I can be or can feel.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, if you're listening and you don't go to our church and you have a church, go to your church's website right now and give. Just give something.
Absolutely.
Give $5. Just do it. Like, don't wait, because you're probably feeling like I need to do that. Just do it. If you go to church in Washington, do it in your local church right now. If you don't have a church, victorycity.church/give. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, I want to shift a little bit because we got a few minutes. One of the things that I think guys struggle with the most is having deep, meaningful relationships with other dudes. Like, we don't prioritize it. We stay surface level. But you and I, we've walked through a lot of seasons in life. And I think, you know, obviously you have your friends, I have my friends. Sometimes they overlap.
You have other friends than me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Cut the podcast now.
I quit. You don't have my permission to air this. And obviously it works great because our wives are friends too. Because that's the big thing.
Massive.
Is like because my wife has friends.
We can still be friends. We just couldn't be as good of friends.
No, like.
We wouldn't get to hang out really.
No, it'd be like, you should go. I'll stay home.
Right.
I think probably one of the biggest things is like, you and I are just intentional. Like, we choose to be intentional with the relationships. And if it's like, because I've done it, like you drove down here for me. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to go play golf. You're going to go home. I'll go up there. I'll meet you to play golf. We intentionally try to be in one of those lives because we know that dudes just need other dudes. And you've called me out on certain things. I think I'm more combative than you. And so yours are going to be a little bit more subtle because that's just your personality. But you've, like in certain seasons of my life, you've brought things up and been like, hey, I think you should be aware of this, right? And you've even provoked me to think differently. I don't know. I mean, I just think that I guess I don't have an end goal in this statement except just to say, like, every guy just needs other dudes. And I don't, there's not like a friend mingle site where you can swipe left or right on friends, you know? But I think it's if I look at the common denominators, we connected via church. And the deepest thing that connects us is our faith.
Yep.
We share the same value structure, and it is faith, and it is wanting to follow the Lord. You in now the corporate world, but with a ministry bent. Me, full-time ministry. But it's like those core values. And then, we connect on fitness, we connect on sports, we do. Now it's like all the other things. Kids, like all the other things, marriage, all the other things kind of is in the ecosystem. But the bedrock is faith.
I had this conversation with my father-in-law not too long ago where he travels and preaches. He'll get around pastors, and he's like, there are some pastors that are like, when you're having conversations, they're like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about Jesus. I want to talk, like, that's all I do all the time. And he's like,
Why?
what do you mean? That's all I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so, one, faith centrally to having a deep, meaningful relationship is obviously essential. But I think also, I talked to you a little bit about it, practicing the way, what I've been going through. And like Jesus modeled this.
Yeah.
Like Jesus brought people together. He had 12 that he did life with, but he had 3 that he let really, really close. And so if I, as a follower of Jesus, want my life to look like his, I have to implement the things that he did.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And so there's very few people that I have the conversations I have with you because those are the only people I'm that close with.
Likewise.
But then there's people a little bit further out that will go deep-ish. But we do life together. We spend more time together than say like just general people that's like, hey, we're friends, we're acquaintances, but it's not like we're daily walking through this together.
Well, and obviously sobriety was a journey you had to walk through just you, but then other people quickly came around you. And I remember, cheering you on in that season. I remember having conversations with you, like especially before you went to rehab. I was like, dude, you got to go to rehab. Like, it's your marriage. Go to rehab.
I remember I was driving because I was working in one city whenever we lived with Hunter's parents. I got kicked out, moved to my parents. So I was driving an hour to wait tables at Cheesecake Factory because it was the only job I had. I remember vividly where I was on the road, one conversation we were having about going to rehab.
Yeah. And I was standing in my backyard in Cedar Park. And it was like, go to freaking rehab, dude.
No, I don't need it.
But the thing, I think, what does, in every relationship needs a few things, I think. I need the ability to give you a freaking hard time and not for you to get offended.
Oh, amen.
Right? Like, I want to bust your chops.
Yeah.
Good
vocab.
Like, I want to be able to like
TDMA with this podcast.
give you a hard time, and I want you to give me a hard time. But I want to double that with like, dude, I believe in you, right? So you got to have it both ways.
Have you seen the memes where it's like video clips of a soccer player, like a defender clearing the ball off the line, or like a center in basketball just swatting every single thing, and it's like how I defend my bro when he's not around. He never said a nice word to his face or something, And it's like so true. I do, but yes, you have to have the other side of that. That's like, no, I sent you a video where the guy. They challenge these guys. Just call your best friend and tell him you love him. No reason, no whatever. Just say, hey, I was thinking about you. I love you. And the way guys react to it is crazy.
Crazy.
Because it's not normal.
It's not normal.
But it means so much to them. Dude, the dudes that are like emotional on the phone, like, I can't believe you were just thinking about me and called me. Like, thank you so much. I love you too. And it's like, gosh, we need that.
Dude, we need it. We need it. And it's like this whole like, I do believe in like healthy masculinity, but what that's done is it's like created a desert in the soul of men. And it's ultimately what it is. It's a brotherhood and it's a fatherhood issue. Like there's a reason the disciples were together, and you need a father, but you also need brothers. You need brothers. That's why from the very beginning of the Bible, God says you are your brother's keeper. Like keep their spirits up, keep their mind right. Keep them humble, all those types of things. You are your brother's keeper. And it's just one of those things where it's like life gets busy, gets heavy. It's just so quickly how we avoid that. And then all of a sudden, dude, you're just lonely. You're lonely and you make bad decisions. You're empty. You try to chase in other spaces and it's always destructive. And so I think church is a great venue. That's why, like, I'm kind of shifting my language from, you know, how, like, every group leader is like, let's do life together. I've tried to, like, shift it and make it more simple. And it's like, make friends at church. Make friends. Find people at church and become their friend.
Yep.
Invite them out over the house. There's a guy in our church that I actually really love. His name's Brandon. And this dude is like the first dude that's
This guy I
like,
met in Mexico?
yeah, Brandon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice guy.
he's a wild dude. But he would be one of the first dudes to be like, come to my house. I'll make you a steak.
Right.
And I love that about him. And I just think, you know, we were literally talking about it this morning. Like, if you watch football, invite guys to watch football.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a fantasy football league, hey, come be in my fantasy football league. You play golf? Let's play golf. You're like a pickleball junkie. Like, let's play pickleball together.
I'm
Let's
an
go-
addict, so I just got to find something good to be addicted to.
But I think it's just so key. Because I think in life, dude, man, life just gets lonely. And then there's stuff like, not that you hide things from your wife, but there's just certain things that like only another guy would understand.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have the right voices, they'll point you in the right direction. If you have the wrong voices, that's the gnarly stuff. So it's like, make friends at church. Be
I
intentional.
love that.
Like, when you come to church, like if you think a dude looks cool, because we
Ask
all,
him to be his friend.
right? Because I was thinking about this for a men's night. I was like, everybody right now, like, think about your bro. Like, who's just a guy that you like totally bro down with? And
Right.
like, he's a bro to me. Like, picture him right now. Like, if you could shut your eyes and picture your bro. Like, who's my, like, he's just my bro. The crazy thing is every single dude is probably picturing a different type of guy.
Right.
Like, they're not all thinking frat-tastic Chad dude.
Right. Sure.
They're probably thinking like that creative guy that like we can talk creatively. They're probably thinking about the Dungeons and Dragons World of Warcraft guy.
Yeah.
They're probably thinking about they're all thinking about a different type. And so my thing is like, if there's guys in the church, first of all, get to church.
Well, and if everybody in a men's night or whatever did that, you're probably seeing somebody else that's in the room.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And it's like, find your bro and go, hey. And my thing is like, if a dude came up to me and was like, bro, I'd love to play golf with you. I'd be like, sweet, set it up. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's go. I'd totally be down. Hey, can we get lunch together? Yeah, let me know. When do you want to go? And I think it just starts with a simple, hey, can we hang out?
Yep.
Well, one of the things too, I think people, if you don't have that, you assume everybody else is already doing it.
Yeah.
So like you might just think like, well, everybody else already has their friends or
Right.
they're already hanging out.
Yeah.
Like for me, I have my family or like I have my, whether it's immediate or extended, but sometimes you can just assume like, well, they're already hanging out. And there are so many guys out there that do not have that community, that do not have that one bro, that don't have that space, whether it's playing pickleball, golf, that literally just do not have friends. I meet so many guys in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that self-identify as like, yeah, I just don't have guy friends.
Right.
And it's like, well, let's go. And it's like, well, they're good. And I've already been this way for so long, but they're missing it. And you can tell because they come alive. Like when they're a part of something and it's like.
Well, you can tell they're a shell of who they could be.
Right.
They're a shell of who they could be. And I meet guys at the church all the time. They're a shell of who they could be. And they need a brother in Christ to be their friend.
Challenge them.
Challenge them, man.
Yeah. Call them out.
Yes, you need it. And it's like, that's sometimes what I miss. I miss the locker room. I miss that, like, we're in it together. You know, I was talking to an ex-Marine the other day, and he was like, dude, I just miss it. I miss, like...
Brotherhood.
I miss the brotherhood. And he's like, now I'm in, like, civilian life, and I don't have it. And I'm like, you do. It's there.
Right.
But there's a new fight.
It's different.
It's different, yeah.
That's
Hey,
good.
Love you, bro.
It's a new fight.
You're a friend. Love
You too. Love
that
you.
was like the white and black army. They come together. What's it from?
Predator or no, Rocky? What is it?
Is it Rocky? I don't know where it's like.
It's Apollo.
You-
Can you color grade his arm?
Yeah, can you color grade? Oh, this has been fun. Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can like, subscribe, comment, and do all the stuff. Don't subscribe.
I see what you did.
Reverse psychology?
Yeah, don't subscribe. Don't share. Don't comment. We don't care what you think. We're going to do this anyways. I don't know.
But we do care.
Honestly, I don't. We're going to keep doing this because I have fun doing it. That's why I was like, let's do it. Let's us have fun. And I get to have great conversations. And
I think there's more to you need to do a series on God's sovereignty and
human responsibility.
That's fire. I'm stealing that next week, actually.
How
So
could
thank
you merge the word like sovereignty?
Sovereignty.
Yeah, but I think it's true. Like you could even do that like in basic like spiritual disciplines. And
what you said though was incredible because sometimes you look for the breakthrough moments. It's like when you stop doing something or you start feeling a certain way. But sometimes God gets so creative where he has you do something that you don't think will link to whatever you're going through. And then for you, it was giving, and then you see this, we're sovereignty.
We're sovereignty. Hey, y'all going to lunch?
Addition by subtraction.
Or you can, like, oh, your tan line's bad too.
I know. Try to cover it, but
lunch. Let's play golf later. I'm gonna beat you.
No.
I literally told Natalie last night, I was like, I want to beat Alan.
I've been thinking about it so much. I called Keith yesterday, and we were laughing so hard. Because it goes back to the bro thing of, like, the way I defend him when he's not around. Eric's been taking lessons. And we're like, that's awesome. Get better at golf. I haven't played golf in 2 months. I texted him this week, and I was like, bro, you've been taking lessons, and I'm about to beat you still. And so Keith's like, dude, you know he's thinking about it. You know it's like, I have been taking lessons. I do need to beat you.
Like, watch the first tee. I just like hook one into and it's like everything's downhill from there. And I'm just making excuses. I'm like, well, I'm going through swing changes and like haven't like set in. And
I did go play golf Sunday though, because I was like,
hey, you got to prepare.
I have to hit the ball before I play.
Amen.
Like, I got to beat him.
Yeah, fun. All right, love it.
What course are you guys going?